We're back for the third time? This dungeon has seen a few reworks and upgrades, so here we are. Mechagon Workshop quick boss guides, let's go. This fight has been reworked and now is an actual 2-target cleave fight. I recommend starting the fight all near the tank so aggro doesn't get awkward. For tanks, you're going to want to be paying attention to the Platinum Pummeler's Tank Buster, which deals AoE damage around you and anyone inside the circle. Healers, the Ground Pound mechanic does heavy group damage fairly often, so make sure you're prepared for this. And then DPS, watch out for Foe Flipper. This will launch the targeted player away, and just make sure you're not landing in any of the battle mines within the arena. These mines spawn periodically from random players that are targeted. Tanks, you're also going to want to watch out for the Maximum Thrust. This is always going to target you, but it can be avoided. I recommend trying to always aim it at the closest wall, just for uptime. Last but not least, the Platinum Pummeler will occasionally gain a stack of Platinum Plating, reducing his damage by 30%, permanently, but this can be removed by dragging him near the hammers along the edge of the room. Just note that once a hammer is used, the hammer malfunctions and can't be used for a few minutes, so you're going to need to rotate around the room. Just make sure you kill the bosses at the same time or it'll be a wipe. K.U.J.O is a very straightforward boss. Early into the fight, an airdrop will spawn a box in the arena, and this box is your lifeline. Shortly after this, the boss will apply Blazing Chomp to the tank. Tanks, you're going to want to mitigate this up front, but healers are going to need to dispel this pretty quickly. When it's dispelled, it'll do a burst of group damage. It's the healer's job and the DPS to make sure they're topped up before the dispel happens. Once the boss starts casting Venting Flames, this is time to move behind the box to break line of sight. This recently has been changed to only tick 4 times now instead of 6, meaning you don't have to be behind the box as long. After the Venting Flames finishes, make sure you spread out and get ready for the Explosive Leap cast. This will target 3 players in your group, and players targeted by this leap will want to use the defensive to stay as healthy as possible before the next Blazing Chomp dispel. At this point, it's just a rinse and repeat. The Machinist Garden has had minimal changes, but there have been quality of life improvements made since its original inception. Essentially, this is just a hectic dodge fight at the end of the day. Early onto the encounter and periodically throughout, the boss will spawn the Inconspicuous Plant, which will just randomly shoot players. You're going to want to move to this and kill it as quickly as you can, and it can be stunned, so things like Kidney Shot, Leg Sweep, Stormbolt, or any other stun can be extremely useful here. Shortly after the plant spawns, the boss will activate the Hidden Flame Cannons. Position yourself between the spouts and move in the same direction to avoid getting hit. If you get hit, this applies a near lethal damage over time effect. During this, also be sure to dodge the Discombobulator from the boss and the self-trimming hedges that are flying around the room. Last but not least, when the plants are killed, they spew out oil, which can be ignited by the flame cannons, causing that area of the room to spam swirls, so just avoid getting hit. Best of luck with this headache of a fight. This boss is a 2-phase encounter. Starting off the fight, tanks just need to be aware of the Tank Buster Pulse Blast. This generally will fire off 3 consecutive shots, dealing high magic damage. Players also need to be aware of the Mega Zap ability. This will deal high damage and apply a nasty dot. On top of that, it's a piercing ability, hitting all players in its path, so make sure you're spread out. During this, avoid the plasma orbs that occasionally move around the room. Feel free to use the swirls and the arrows to avoid them. Lastly, the boss will cast Liftoff, fixating a DPS player. The player fixated needs to kite the boss, and this deals group damage, so healers be ready to counter this. Once the boss is defeated, phase 2 will begin. You'll be stunned for a short period of time while King Mechagon jumps into his mech suits. During this phase, Mega Zap will now target 3 players consecutively. Spread out and use defensives when possible. You'll need to do this also while dodging the plasma orbs. Every 45 seconds or so, King Mechagon will cast Magneto Arm, dealing high group damage and pulling players towards its nucleus. Run against this and pray your healer keeps you alive. This phase is just a rinse and repeat until the mech suit is defeated. Once this happens, King Mechagon is now vulnerable to be relieved of his kingly duties. And that's it. Congratulations at beating Mechagon Workshop. Huge shout out to all my lovely Patreon supporters, because without their support, I couldn't make content like this. I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.